Well, what's going on, guys? It's a very cold night here in Corpus Christi, Texas, and the main event decided it's time, and we are here live as it's happening. Now, those of you that are watching this episode of the main event talk live as it's happening on YouTube, you know the score, you know the settling. And for those of you that are watching this episode of the main event talk as it's happening on my Facebook page, if you're on my Facebook page and you're seeing this live, it's happening. It's happening right now as we speak. And to anyone else, I know that this is also being posted on my Facebook, on my actual Facebook, and on I think I have a link going to my Instagram as we speak. So, and my Twitter. So it's all over the place. So I'd like to welcome you all on this very special edition of the Main Event Talk happening live. I know that I'm cutting very, very close to Monday Night Raw. I'm going to try and do what I can for this episode as much as I can because I know that there's a lot we need to talk about. We need to talk about NXT TakeOver that took place on Saturday night. Great event, loved it. We're also going to talk about Survivor Series that took place last night over at the Los Angeles, at the Staples Center in Los Angeles, California. And believe me, there's a lot we got to talk about as far as that goes. I'm going to try and let me see if I can move this here real quick. I think it's sort of I got it where it needs to be at, but it's it's kind of off balance here if you don't mind. Shit. Why is it so bright? Oh, that's why. Okay, let me see if I can. I'm gonna try and adjust this a little bit just so I can. Okay. Oh, okay. All right. That's a lot better. I can actually focus on what I gotta do. So welcome to the main event talk happening live here on YouTube. Obviously, we got a lot of things to cover as far as Survivor Series goes and as far as NXT goes. I'd mention a lot of things that happened at NXT Takeover that happened this past Saturday. So let's get right to it, shall we? NXT TakeOver was amazing. NXT TakeOver Saturday night, War Games, was awesome. It was amazing. It was everything that I ever expected. All of my predictions that I had mentioned on my last main event talk on YouTube, if you guys had an opportunity to see that live episode, I predicted everything that would happen. So, let me run down the predictions so that way everyone will get an idea. So, I talked about obviously the first matchup was going to be for the NXT Women's Championship, which happened. Shayna Baszler taking on Kairi Sane. 2 out of 3 falls match for the NXT Women's Championship. The first fall would go directly to Shayna Baszler, which I predicted, and I was right, by submission. And also, Kairi Sane would win the second fall in this whole situation. And then the third fall, of course, it would go to Shayna Baszler. But there were a couple other things that happened on the. First of all, the appearance of Dakota Kai, and there was another NXT superstar that was over there. And I got to admit this. I'm glad that it happened the way it did, but also there had to have been some sort of there had to have been some sort of somebody had to get involved in this whole thing with Shayna Baszler and Kairi Sane. And nonetheless, Shayna Baszler is still the NXT Women's Champion, and no doubt there'll probably be a future rematch between the two. Not sure when that's going to happen. I know, and Dakota Kai had came out there at the event at NXT Takeover. My opinion on Dakota Kai, I'm impressed with her. I like her. She's a very, very tremendous athlete, tremendous woman, and everything else like that. But she is, when I first saw her in the Mae Young Classic that happened about a year ago, the first thing that came to my head when I saw her was she looked like almost like Bailey. Almost, somebody had brought that up, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, I mean, they almost look very similar to each other. They're not exactly the same, but when you think about it, they kind of I kind of look at Dakota Kai as the next Bailey, but better and a little bit more lenient or something like that. I don't know what it is, but anyways, it was good to see Dakota Kai out there, and man, there was a very cool pic of her on Twitter earlier, and man, she looked good. She looked very, very good. Also, the other matchup that took place, the next one that happened was well, before I mention the next matchup that was going to take place, I forget to mention the huge surprise that took place over at NXT Takeover, and we're talking about the surprise of Matt Riddle. You guys know him as the guy that had competed in UFC. I think I remember seeing the dude on UFC. I think it's called what is it? Um, Ultimate Fighter or Fighter, whatever the whatever that deal that involves new fighters that come in and stuff. Anyways, Matt Riddle comes in. He has been in NXT for quite a while, and a lot of people have wanted my opinion about what I thought about Matt Riddle. I think he's a good superstar. He's not there yet, but so far the fans are already starting to accept Matt Riddle for who he is and everything else like that. And I thought, and we probably still are, we're going to be able to get an opportunity to see NXT tonight, or not tonight, but this coming Wednesday, when we see Cassius Ohno, and we actually saw that matchup at NXT Takeover. And it was funny, the countdown show that took place, because I saw that too, where there's Cassius Ohno going ahead and saying what he's saying to Matt Riddle, and then Matt Riddle, saying what he's saying to him as well. And I think he said something about him being bitter, and you know what? Instead of being bitter, you need to be better, bro. And I got to admit that's a bit catchy. I like the way Matt Riddle comes in. So Matt Riddle made the surprise. Cassius Ohno comes in. The matchup starts, and then bam, that was it. It took that was like the shortest match in the history of NXT Takeover. I mean, I could be wrong. I mean, I've never seen a match that ended up that quickly and everything else like that. But a great surprise win by. I was very, very impressed with how that went, and it was good to see Matt Riddle at NXT TakeOver. And who knows, in the near future, we'll probably see Matt Riddle a part of many other matches that will take place over at NXT TakeOver in the near future. So I can't wait to see that. Now, besides the surprise and besides the NXT Women's Championship, let's talk about the matchup that I was looking forward to seeing. Another matchup that I predict that was going to happen. I said Aleister Black would win it. Aleister Black won it. Aleister Black did a tremendous job. And I kept hoping for a surprise to come out. I kept hoping for maybe Tommaso Ciampa to be the other guy that attacked Aleister Black. But that didn't happen, and the matchup between these two was an all-time classic. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Aleister Black. Johnny Gargano, to me, is the new Daniel Bryan of NXT as far as I'm concerned, because when you look at the way Johnny Gargano is comparing to Daniel Bryan, not Daniel Bryan heel now, but Daniel Bryan heel from 2000, I think 10 or 11 or something like that, or 11 actually, when he won the World Heavyweight Championship. I mean, that was the heel that I was into when the whole Yes thing started to begin. Johnny Gargano was starting to become that. He was starting to become that. But it seems like this feud between Johnny Gargano and Aleister Black is not over by a long shot, as far as I'm concerned. So I wouldn't mind seeing another matchup between these two in the near future. When will that happen? I'm not sure. But one thing's for certain. Aleister Black did win his match over Johnny Gargano, and now hopefully we'll get an opportunity to see Aleister Black get an opportunity at the NXT Championship in the near future, which leads me to the NXT Championship matchup that took place between Tommaso Ciampa and Velveteen Dream. And I gotta admit, the Velveteen Dream was, oh man, I gotta admit. And I was very, very impressed with not only the entrance, but the fact that he actually came out wearing Hollywood Hogan gear. And you know what? I was impressed. I love the way he did it, because I guess it was a tribute of some kind from what everyone else has been looking at. I kind of look at it as, yeah, a tribute, but also someone that is obviously a fan of Hulk Hogan. All of us were fans of Hulk Hogan and everything else like that. And also someone that I believe is someone that forgives and forgets, unfortunately, about what Hogan did. But nonetheless, it happened. The matchup was great, but there was one thing that happened. I mentioned on Facebook or on YouTube or Instagram, there was a mistake that happened. There was something that happened during the championship matchup. Now, obviously, I'm not gonna go ahead and just hold the what you call it, the spoiler. You know that Tommaso Ciampa beat uh, the Velveteen Dream in the match. But what was funny about the match, I'd watched that whole thing from head to toe, and I got to admit that Tommaso Ciampa had everything planned and did everything champion. The Velveteen Dream did one move. And it was funny because while Tommaso Ciampa was trying to bring in the NXT Championship, did you notice in the match that while the Velveteen Dream had him in the ring, he hit his signature, hit the DDT, and hit Tommaso Ciampa right there on top of the NXT Championship, and the referee saw that. So I'm asking this question. Okay, was it possible that the referee saw it and could he have disqualified him, or did the referee see it and just said, "Screw it, it's a championship match. Let's move on with it. 1, 2, 3." Well, not it didn't come out as 1, 2, 3. Go ahead and pin count. It was funny that that happened and the referee just continued on with the match. Didn't even care if that took place. Now that was mistake number one. To me, the Velveteen Dream should have been disqualified. And then and obviously Tommaso Ciampa would have won the championship, but I don't think that was going to go down like that. So fine, the matchup continues. I'm okay with it. That's fine. Another mistake took place in that same championship matchup. Now, in that same championship matchup, okay, you know that the War Games was about to start. You had two rings, and in the middle of the ring, there's a steel plate or a steel guardrail or whatever the fuck that is. So I'm watching this, and then all of a sudden I see Tommaso Ciampa hit a DDT right on the Velveteen Dream, right on the steel guardrail or steel steps or wherever the fuck that was. Once again, the referee saw it as well. Why was that not a disqualification? Why didn't the referee give Velveteen Dream the win? And I love the fact that Tommaso Ciampa won the match. I'm glad because I predicted it. But what I didn't like was there were two mistakes that took place. One, Velveteen Dream hits his finisher, right on the NXT Championship, and the referee doesn't disqualify him. Right? Doesn't happen. And then Tommaso Ciampa, the same thing. He hits him with a DDT right in the middle of the two rings, and right there where the steel guardrail is. I'll just call it like that, steel guardrail. Hits the DDT on the steel guardrail. The referee sees it and does not even disqualify him. So I'm asking myself, I mean, even though Tommaso Ciampa won the match, did he deserve to be disqualified? Did Velveteen Dream deserve to be disqualified? Nonetheless, it was a tremendous match. I loved how it all went. I'm glad that Tommaso Ciampa won. But I'm also glad for the Velveteen Dream because he became an even bigger star than he already is. Now, there was some controversy. There was some controversy surrounding what happened in the match. Not sorry, I just have to have myself a drink. But anyways, there was some controversy that took place during the match, and not in the match or during the matchup. There was some controversy on Facebook that I saw that was real ridiculous in any way possible. So I'm watching this, and I'm going through my Twitter, right, and I'm seeing this whole thing where this guy, I think his name is Anthony G or something like that. There was a number that next to it, but Anthony G on Twitter mentioned something about I'm so glad that Tommaso Ciampa is champion because we don't want to see this faggot ass Velvet team and all this other stuff. And that was very, very insulting in many ways possible. And he deleted the tweet. He deleted the tweet. And everyone went ahead and saw that tweet and posted it out all over Facebook. I even posted it on my Main Event Talk. And I had everyone look at it. And I know that there was some people that wanted to know my thoughts about it. I thought it was stupid. I thought it was ridiculous. I thought there was no reason for that. No reason at all for this guy to go ahead and say what he had to say, because it was just, quite frankly, it was just stupid. It was just stupid in any way possible, and it could have been done a whole lot different than expected. Um, but he went ahead and changed his tune. He deleted the tweet and then changed his tune in every way possible. Here's the thing, guys. I don't have a problem with the Velveteen Dream. To me, I look at it, and if this is a racist comment, I apologize. But as a matter of fact, I think I mentioned this on an episode of the Main Event Talk, where I mentioned that the Velveteen Dream, to me, is and I'm going to call it a black version of Gold Dust. And I'm calling it like this for a couple reasons, okay? We know that Gold Dust is a very bizarre individual, okay? Very bizarre individual. But he is very quick with the mind games. Gold Dust is very infamous for the mind games. He always plays with people's heads every time. Now, the Velveteen Dream has done the same thing. I've seen his matches. I've seen what he does. He does play with a lot of people's heads. Very good. And that's why I consider him, what I just mentioned. But in most cases, I mean, Velveteen Dream is his own person, because when you look at the Velveteen Dream, he's somewhat like a what does the Velveteen Dream remind me of? He obviously just reminds me of Prince. When I think of Prince, I think of maybe Michael Jackson, maybe. But he's very entertaining to watch. He's very charismatic. He has all the tools it takes to be a phenomenal superstar. He's a main eventer in every way possible. And no doubt, in the near future, I would love to see the Velveteen Dream and um, Tommaso Ciampa go at it for the NXT Championship once again. Because to me, as far as I'm concerned, and I think I said this on I think I said this on my YouTube on my last episode of the Main Event Talk. The Velveteen Dream will not become champion, but he'll become champion in the near future, because it's going to be a matter of time before the Velveteen Dream achieves his ultimate dream, and that is to not only be NXT champion, but also become a part of the main roster, whether it's Raw or SmackDown. I think he would be perfect for SmackDown. I really would like to see him on SmackDown. So, once again, congratulations to Tommaso Ciampa for retaining the championship that happened at NXT TakeOver. I digged it. It was awesome. It was great. And speaking of something that was awesome and great, let's talk about War Games. Let's talk about the match beyond. Let's talk about how, holy crap, that matchup was so fucking amazing. I was getting myself prepared for NXT War Games when I saw last year's War Games. That was tremendous. But it involved three teams. It involved Pain with Roderick Strong, and then it also involved Insanity, and then also involved the members of the Undisputed Era. That was three teams, and Adam Cole was the one that got the win for the Undisputed Era. Now it's two teams, four players in each side. One side you got the Undisputed Era of Adam Cole, Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly, and Roderick Strong. And then on the other side, you had four other guys. The NXT North American Champion, Ricochet. The NXT or the WWE UK Champion, Pete Dunne. Which, by the way, congratulations go out to Pete Dunne, by the way, because if anyone had a chance to look at his Facebook or his Instagram or his Twitter, I believe he became a father. Yeah, because I saw a pic of his newborn baby. So if Pete Dunne ever gets a chance to look at this, congratulations go out to Pete Dunne for becoming a father. And holy crap, Pete Dunne was definitely the star in this match. As a matter of fact, all of them were stars in this matchup. You had Pete Dunne, you had Ricochet, and then you had the War Raiders. And this was a all-around awesome match from head to toe, and you couldn't put any better superstars than these superstars that took place at NXT Takeover War Games. All the guys came in the ring, and the only person that was left over was Pete Dunne. And I think it was, who was it? I think it was Bobby Fish was the last person, and he went ahead and he had a padlock of his own. I guess he must have sneaked it in and nobody saw it coming. When he was about to come over to the ring, he goes over to the cage where Pete Dunne is, beats the hell out of Pete Dunne, and then goes ahead and takes that padlock and chain and locks up the cage that Pete Dunne is in and throws away the key, which gave Undisputed Era the opportunity to attack and do what they did to the War Raiders and to Ricochet. And there was nothing anybody can do about it until the clock struck. Once the clock was struck, it was over, and then all of a sudden, Pete Dunne tried to get out. He got out. The referees were trying to get the key, and they unlocked the key that was there, right? Just for the first padlock. The second padlock that Bobby Fish brought in, right? So then they go ahead and decide, they're trying to look for the key, and then probably 2-3 minutes later, they find the key, they unlock it, then here comes Pete Dunne, and he's ready to kick some ass. And what does he do? Instead of coming into the ring with everybody else, he goes ahead, he attacks most of the members of Undisputed Era. He goes ahead and throws in a bunch of kendo sticks. He throws in a bunch of steel chairs. He throws in a bunch of tables. He throws in a bunch of weapons inside War Games. And now you got an even playing field in each side. And my fucking God, that match was off the fucking chain. I mean, I have never seen so many people getting hit with chairs. So many people getting hit with kendo sticks. I think there was a suplex. I think it was a combination. I think there was 4 power bombs and a suplex. I think, on top of the cage, and then Ricochet. Oh man, I'm really starting to like this dude Ricochet, and like I said before, it's only going to be a matter of time before Ricochet becomes the next NXT champion. Well, next to Adam Cole anyway. But he goes at the very top of the cage, right? He goes at the very top of the cage right here. And this is the reason why I like War Games. If this was the original War Games and there was a top there, there'd be no way for Ricochet to do that. But with no top and all these superstars right here and Ricochet at the very top, he comes in and does this amazing, looks like almost like a cannonball, and knocks every single one of those wrestlers down to the fucking ground. And everyone at the Staples Center was saying, holy shit, this is awesome. And that's exactly what it was. At NXT TakeOver War Games, it was tremendous. It was great. I made the prediction that Undisputed Era was not going to win. And Ricochet, Pete Dunne, and the War Raiders would win it. That's exactly what happened. So congratulations go out to those gentlemen in every way possible. NXT War Games was awesome. NXT TakeOver was a shit. And I gotta tell you, everybody knows this. You guys know this. I know this. The fact that any time when NXT TakeOver comes around, it always beats the biggest events that WWE has to offer. And as far as I'm concerned, I've said this before and I'll say it again. NXT TakeOver to me, NXT in itself, it's its own brand. And I know some people are probably saying, well, Furman, you do realize it's under WWE property, right? You see the WWE logo. It don't fucking matter. NXT is its own brand. I mean, come on. I mean, yeah, we understand that it's in WWE, but it's its own brand. Look at all the stars they got. Look at all the superstars that are coming in. Look at what these guys fucking do. And by the time these guys are done with NXT and go over to the main roster in WWE, there'll be either some stars that will succeed and move on to greatness, and others that will look like shit and drop and probably go to some other company afterwards. So it's happened before, and it's not the first time. It probably won't be the last. But nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, NXT TakeOver War Games 2 was so badass, and I loved it. All my predictions came true. There were a couple of controversies that took place over there, and I addressed them, and, well, NXT TakeOver War Games was a fucking shit. It was badass. Hats off to the NXT superstars. Hats off to everyone that was involved. And like I said before, at the next NXT takeover, I'm making this prediction right now. And I'm saying this directly to the NXT champion in the form of Tommaso Ciampa. I want you to hold on to that championship as much as you can, my friend. You are, without a shadow of a doubt, the greatest sports entertainer of all time. But you have a title in your hands that does not belong to you. And that title is going to go right in the hands of my favorite NXT superstar, Aleister Black. And whether Aleister Black knows it, he'll be champion very soon. Very, very soon. And whether you like it or not, Tommaso Ciampa, you're a great champion. You're great at what you do. But Aleister Black wants his title back. And you may be black-hearted, but his heart is more blacker than you'll ever possibly imagine. At NXT TakeOver next year, Aleister Black versus Tommaso Ciampa for the NXT Championship. That's my prediction. That's my thought. And Johnny Gargano, if you get in the way of all this again like you did last time, Black will simply take you out. Now that we've got all that out of the way, now that we've got NXT TakeOver out of the way, now that we got War Games out, let's talk about Survivor Series. Let's talk about Survivor Series, shall we? Oh my fucking God, where do I begin? Oh, where do I fucking begin? I had a chance. I didn't get a chance to see the whole show, but then I saw it again earlier, and yesterday, last night anyway. Saw the whole Survivor Series, and then saw what took place, the kickoff show and everything. So, I'm just going to come right straight to the point. Survivor Series was good, but then it sucked. Then it sucked. Was good, then it sucked. Either way possible, it was a flip-on-flip situation. So, here's the thing that I find so funny about it. Now, for the first time ever in WWE history, in Survivor Series history, remember the clean sweep that happened in 2006 when DX and the Hardys and CM Punk took out the other team in a complete landslide? Remember that? That's exactly what happened to SmackDown. Yep. That's exactly what happened to SmackDown. SmackDown had 0 and Raw had 6. But what's wrong with the fucking score? Let me tell you what's wrong with the score. The score is not 6-0. Let's get that straight. Let's get that out the fucking window, okay? It's not 6-0. It's 6-1. Get that straight to your fucking head, WWE. It's 6-1. Let me repeat that one more time so that way you can all understand what the fuck is going on here. It's 6-1. Not 6-0. 6-1. Okay? It sounds like I'm giving away the lottery numbers or something like that. It is 6-1. And you want to know why I said 6-1? Let me tell you why I said 6-1. Now, even though it was just a countdown show, even though it was just a kickoff show to the Survivor Series, the SmackDown tag teams took down the Raw tag teams. That's what happened. It was it. It was done. It was over. Now, you figured Raw or you figured SmackDown would have one upper hand and then the other. But I guess when the pay-per-view begins, the score comes out 0-0. That's what it is. 0-0. But in my opinion, it's not 0-0. Give me a fucking break. Now, let's talk about the Raw Women's tag team and the SmackDown Women's. Now, Ruby Riott and Natalya were supposed to be a part of it. they got replaced by Sasha Banks and Bayley. That should not be a surprise to anybody. Then on the SmackDown side, obviously the biggest replacement, who was going to be the fifth member? It was Mandy Rose. Now, I'm not gonna suspense you with the details. Okay, we know who won. It was Raw. Raw won, obviously. But I want to talk about one thing. Nia Jax. I want to talk about Nia Jax for a moment. Because I know there's a lot of people right now that are probably wondering themselves, how do I feel about this whole thing with her taking out Becky Lynch? Let me tell you something. What happened to Becky Lynch last week? Well, it was the greatest thing that has ever happened. And I think Becky Lynch, unquestionably, is possibly the best superstar, the best woman superstar right now as we speak, and everyone is talking about Becky Lynch. Everyone's talking about the man. And then the man got taken out by Nia Jax. And everyone has been, all up on Nia Jax's case because of this whole thing with her being out of the Survivor Series. Now, everyone wants to be mean to Nia. Everyone wants to be pissed at Nia. You fucked this up. The crowd was going boo, and nobody gave a shit about Nia Jax. You know what? This applause goes to you. All of you. All of you. You want to know why? You want to know why the applause are going to you? Let me tell you why. Because while you're busy bitching, whining, moaning, complaining about the fact that Nia Jax did what she did, Nia Jax is feeding off this fucking shit. Do you not understand how this fucking goes? Nia Jax is being a heel. Nia Jax is pissing everybody off. Nia Jax is doing exactly what she's intended to do. It's smart strategy on her part. And while everyone decides, well, what she did to her was wrong, she could have got a concussion and all, you know what? This is fucking wrestling. Alright? And in this case, wrestling is real, and it got a whole lot more real when Nia did what she did to Becky Lynch. Do I condone it? Probably not. Was it good that it happened? Yes. Are the fans pissed off? Absolutely. Because while everyone is cheering for the man who supposedly is a heel, Nia Jax is the heel in this story. Nia Jax is the fucking heel. Everyone is gonna boo Nia Jax because of the shit she did to Becky Lynch. And to me, I like Becky Lynch. I liked her from the start. Hell, I was the one that said that at SummerSlam, she would turn heel on Charlotte. And it happened. I said that she will be the next SmackDown Women's Champion, and she did. And ever since then, Becky Lynch became the man in a huge way. But was she a heel? Probably not. Well, actually, let me correct that. She was a heel, but she was cheered like a babyface. But everyone loved what she was doing. Becky had these tremendous matches with Charlotte Flair. And then she was close to having her opportunity to take on Ronda Rousey, which I'll get to momentarily. But that didn't happen. So Becky Lynch is still the man. Becky Lynch is still talked about to this day and to this as of right now. And Nia Jax is the one responsible for what happened to Becky Lynch. And I applaud that shit. You know why? And I think it was Stone Cold Steve Austin who said it on his Twitter when he said professional wrestling is back. And I couldn't agree more. I couldn't, because everyone is pissed at Nia. All the heat is on Nia. And you know what? I applaud it. It's wrestling, folks. Come on. What the fuck do you expect? Was Nia just going to apologize and be apologetic and everything? No, she's a heel. And more importantly, she's making you all believe it. All of you. You all are booing her, aren't you? What are you booing her for? Was it an accident? No. Fucking punch the shit out of her. Maybe it was an accident from the beginning, but is she going to admit that? No, she's a fucking heel. She's going to say, I fucking punched that bitch. Like that. And then Becky is going to retaliate. And she did. She retaliated in great, great fashion. But, nonetheless, we'll talk about that in a moment. Now, I talked the win. I talked about, what did I talk about? Oh, Becky Lynch coming out. No, I'm sorry. Nia Jax coming out. The crowd was booing her. And you know what? Hey, like I said before, I dig it. I love it. Let it be. Let the fans get pissed off at Nia Jax for what she did. As far as I'm concerned, she needs the heat. She needs the attention. And it's working. It's working perfectly as it was planned. Now, let's get off of the women for a moment. Although I wouldn't mind getting on top of a woman at this point. Let me talk about, let's see, the high point of the match between Shinsuke Nakamura, the United States Heavyweight Champion, against my man Seth Rollins. Oh yeah, Seth Rollins. And I gotta tell you, I'd love to see that matchup again because that was just picture perfect. I mean, it was everything you ever expected and more. United States Champion versus Intercontinental Champion. Now last year, the United States Champion was Baron Corbin, and he defeated The Miz. Miz was Raw, Baron Corbin was from SmackDown at the time, and that was it. Now we got Shinsuke Nakamura, who's the United States Champion, on SmackDown, while the Intercontinental Champion is Seth Rollins. And I'm not going to dispense with the formalities. Raw won, obviously, and Seth Rollins did a tremendous, tremendous matchup against Shinsuke Nakamura. And we also found out about what's going to take place at TLC next month. And if you guys did not hear the story, here's how it goes, and we all know what's about to take place. It's going to be at TLC for the Intercontinental Championship. It's going to be Dean Ambrose going one-on-one against Seth Rollins for the Intercontinental Championship at TLC. No doubt it will probably be a TLC match, and I hope it becomes a TLC match, because a lot of people would love to see this become a TLC match. And if it happens, I'm making this prediction right now, Seth Rollins will have a tremendous match against Dean Ambrose, but Dean Ambrose will be the one to walk away with the Intercontinental Championship. That will take place. That's going to happen, and I can't wait for it. It's going to be tremendous. Let's move on. Let's talk about the tag team matchup. Let's talk about the Authors of Pain. The Authors of Pain taking on Sheamus and Cesaro. Another great matchup. Another great team. Once again, Raw won. Drake Maverick pissed in his pants and all that other shit. And then it caused a distraction. And then, well, of course, Sheamus and Cesaro, they lost against the Authors of Pain. And they did what they did. It was good. It was tremendous. And I digged it. I loved it. It was great. Not much to talk about, but it was okay. Although the Big Show, I wish he would have played a little bit of a better role in that whole deal. So let's see. What else took place? What other matchup that... what was... Oh, the Cruiserweight match. I'm sorry. The Cruiserweight Championship matchup that took place. Buddy Murphy against Mustafa Ali. Tremendous, tremendous all-star matchup. I was digging it. I was loving it. It was tremendous. I really wanted Mustafa Ali to become Cruiserweight Champion. I mean, I felt this dude deserved it, but, you know, Buddy Murphy, he's great. He's a great, tremendous athlete. As you know, he won the championship over at the Super Showdown that happened over in Australia. And he defended the title against Mustafa Ali and retained the championship. He's still the Cruiserweight Champion, and Mustafa Ali just became another victim at the hands of Buddy Murphy. Now, let's talk about the next matchup. I want to leave Brock Lesnar and Daniel Bryan last. Let's see, what's the other matchup that's going to take place? We already talked about... Raw versus SmackDown, the 5-on-5 matchup. Okay, guys, I'm not going to dispense with the formalities on this one, okay? As far as I'm concerned, the 5-on-5 matchup that took place, and I'll say it right here on this episode of the Main Event Talk Live as it's happening, it sucked. It sucks so badly. I mean, I remember 1 year ago when it was 3-on-3, three matches apiece and everything, and it came down to one matchup and everything else like that. Raw versus SmackDown, last year's was better. This year's absolutely sucked. Let's look at the teams that are part of this whole situation. You had Shane McMahon, good. You had Rey Mysterio, good. You had Jeff Hardy, good. You had Samoa Joe, fuck yeah. You had The Miz. Moving on. Raw, you had Braun Strowman, hell yeah. Drew McIntyre, hell yeah. Dolph Ziggler, well, we could have had someone better. Finn Balor, dig it. Bobby Lashley, love it. And Baron Corbin being at ringside like a little fucking bitch. Yeah, and what do you say about that? And then it's almost like last year all over again. Remember when Shane McMahon was left all alone last year and he got betrayed by his own brother-in-law, Triple H? You remember that? Now all of a sudden we get Shane McMahon all alone again, and then he loses, and then that's it. It's over. I didn't want to get into detail about the whole situation. It just fucking sucked. And Raw is ahead. Raw is ahead. Raw is fucking ahead of SmackDown. And I'm wondering to myself, okay, SmackDown is supposed to be this badass show that everyone digs, and I still dig SmackDown. But it's fucking starting to look bad. It is hugely bad. It is so bad that I want to go to the bathroom. I want to take the biggest shit of my fucking life. And then I want to watch SmackDown again and take an even bigger shit afterwards. Okay, we talked about the Raw and SmackDown matchup. Now let's talk about one of the last two matchups. Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte. Now, this was something that we can all talk about right now. Oh man, I gotta tell you something. There was a lot of people that were saying from the beginning that Ronda Rousey is gonna get booed. Ronda Rousey is gonna get trashed. Ronda Rousey is going to get killed. In my opinion, about the whole thing with Ronda Rousey getting killed or the fans booing her, I expected. I expected a whole lot. Why? Quite simple. Because for the past several months, ever since when Ronda Rousey had first appeared, the fans started cheering her. The fans started loving her, and the fans started believing in Ronda Rousey. She won the Women's Championship, which a lot of people didn't like, but I didn't give a shit because to me, Ronda is a badass. Ronda's everything that we all expected. Ronda beat the hell out of Alexa Bliss. Ronda beat the hell out of Stephanie McMahon. Ronda beat the hell out of Nikki Bella. And now we were all set to see her against Becky Lynch. But that didn't happen. So now we get the next best thing. Charlotte Flair. The matchup was exquisite. The matchup was tremendous. And almost like Nakamura and Seth Rollins, this was better. This was a whole lot better. And I got to tell you something. And I've said this before. If Ronda Rousey gets an opportunity to take on either Charlotte Flair or somebody in the high roster, Ronda Rousey is going to get her ass kicked. But Ronda's going to find a way to fight. She's not going to fucking back down. She's going to fight. And it don't matter. And Charlotte Flair did everything in her power to fight against Ronda Rousey. Doing every single thing in her power. Try to avoid the arm bar. Try to avoid the figure four leg lock. Try to avoid everything. And it was everything that the match was supposed to be. And the fans were more behind Charlotte than they were Ronda Rousey. That's the truth. Hands down. You know how it goes. And Ronda was already getting to this point where she was about to kill Charlotte Flair. And I thought, in my mind, in my heart, that Charlotte Flair was going to kick her ass. I thought Charlotte was going to be able to get her in a position to where she's going to have the figure eight and make her submit, make her tap out. All that was about to take place. And then Ronda goes outside to go after Charlotte Flair. And then Charlotte Flair takes a kendo stick and whack, nails Ronda Rousey. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Don't get me wrong. I'm about to explain what's about to happen. I wanted Ronda Rousey to somehow lose in a crazy way. I wanted her to somehow lose. But it ended up Ronda winning the matchup and Charlotte basically handed Raw the win. But it wasn't over. It wasn't over. No. Because what happened was Charlotte Flair started changing and Charlotte Flair started snapping and Charlotte Flair beat the shit out of Ronda Rousey. Did I love it? Oh, absolutely. She came out with a kendo stick and beat the living fuck out of Ronda Rousey. Took a steel chair and bashed her over the head and everything else like that. And then, and I felt this was a little bit too far. I thought it was way too far in this one. Where, you know how when you see someone get a chair and placed right underneath the neck, and I've seen it happen a couple times. I remember when it was done to Shawn Michaels, when they hit the chair and it basically not break the neck, but you know, blood starts coming out of someone's mouth when that happens. That happened to Shawn Michaels. That happened to Shane McMahon. That happened to a couple of other people that I'm trying to remember. But when Charlotte Flair did it, I mean, it was too far. It was very much too far. You know, Ronda, it hurt her, but I don't think it hurt her as bad as I thought. But Charlotte Flair pretty much turned heel. Basically, in many ways, a lot of people have waited for Charlotte Flair to turn heel. This was the moment, this was the time. And what's even better, Ronda Rousey, and I'll say this, and this was brought up on Twitter, was brought up on Facebook, I gotta say it. Ronda Rousey just got punked by a member of the Four Horsewomen. And she got punked by Charlotte Flair, Ric Flair's daughter. Came out, snapped, beat the hell out of Ronda Rousey, and walked away. And I remember seeing, there was a tweet. If you see the tweet on Twitter, there's this tweet that Charlotte Flair put out that says, boo the woos, screw you, or something like that. Screw you all, or something like that. And I was like, holy shit. So is it just me, or is everybody starting to... and it was brought up. Is everybody turning heel all of a sudden? We had Becky Lynch who turned heel. We had Nia Jax who turned heel. We had Charlotte Flair turns heel. Now, at the end of that match, Charlotte Flair walks away. Ronda Rousey was left. And I know that the fans were just... they were on her. They were on her case. And I saw this coming, and this is the thing that I said. One thing that Ronda's going to learn. Ronda is still a rookie, but Ronda is going to learn real quick. Ronda is going to find a way to get back in the game and not change her style. But, and I want this to happen, and I want it to happen so bad that the fans don't like it, who cares? I want Ronda Rousey to turn heel too. I want her to be the baddest woman on the planet. I want her to be the baddest bitch ever. Because this is the thing. Ronda walked out, and there was a lot of fans that booed her. There were a lot of fans that were saying, na 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 na, hey, 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 goodbye. I heard that. I was like, dude. And then Ronda she shrugged it off. She shrugged it off. She walked away. I mean, and the thing was, I'm surprised that she walked away. Especially what happened to her with the chair and everything. Because nobody really walks away when someone hits you with a chair and, you know, your neck gets broke or something like that. She fucking walked out on her own damn power. And you know what? You gotta respect, you know what? I don't give a shit what anyone says. You gotta respect Ronda Rousey for what she did. You gotta respect the fact that that chick walked out. And you know what? The fans booed her. The fans did all this shit to her. You know what? All the fans that are watching, all the fans that booed her, I want you to keep booing her. I want you to tell her she's full of shit. I want you to tell Ronda Rousey she ain't fucking shit. Because if Ronda Rousey turns heel, she's going to kill Charlotte Flair. And when the time is right, she will kill Becky Lynch. And no disrespect to Becky Lynch, because I like her too. But it'll be a matter of time before we see Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch go at it real soon. But it'll only be a matter of time before we see Charlotte Flair and Ronda Rousey go at it. But this time, if Charlotte Flair loses to Ronda, there's nothing to be embarrassed about. Other than the fact that she lost to the baddest bitch on the planet. And you also have to keep in mind another thing. On one side, you got Charlotte, you got Becky, and you still got Sasha and Bayley of the Four Horsewomen. And then on the other side, you got the other Four Horsewomen of MMA. You remember Ronda, Shayna Baszler, and there's two others. I forgot who their names are. They're there. And it'll only be a matter of time before the Four Horsewomen of MMA take on the Four Horsewomen of Wrestling. And here's how I see it. Here's how I see it. Wrestling meets MMA. The women of the Four Horsemen of Wrestling take on the women of the Four Horsemen of MMA. You choose your sides. You choose whoever you want. To me, it's going to be a fight. It's going to be everything I want and more. And one thing's for certain. You can boo Ronda Rousey all you want to. At the end of the day, she's still the baddest bitch on the planet. And if you piss her off in any way possible, you remember what happened to Kurt Angle? You remember what happened to Alexa Bliss? You remember what happened to Nikki Bella? You remember what happened to all of them? They all got their arms broken. They all got punked out. They all got bitch slapped. You can talk all the shit you want to about Ronda Rousey. You can boo her all you want to. But if she turns heel, I want you to imagine this. I want you to imagine this in your fucking minds. Remember the Four Horsemen from a long time ago? Do you remember Tully Blanchard, Ole Anderson, Arn Anderson, Ric Flair, and James J. Dillon? Do you remember the Four Horsemen back in the day? Imagine this, if you will. Imagine this. Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch, and Bayley with Ric Flair in their corner. All right? Imagine that. And then the other side, the Four Horsewomen. You got these two, Ronda Rousey, and you got Shayna Baszler, the NXT Women's Champion. And you know who should be on that team? You know him. You know him quite well. You've seen them together before. The Four Horsewomen of MMA with the Advocate Paul Heyman. Can you imagine that shit? That would be the fucking shit. Imagine Paul Heyman managing Ronda Rousey. Imagine the heel turn that Ronda Rousey could possess. While everyone talks about Nia Jax turning heel, and Becky Lynch turning heel, and Charlotte turning heel. Here's the thing. Charlotte's already been a heel. Becky Lynch has already been, well, this is actually the first time for Becky Lynch turning heel, although we're still trying to figure out if she's a heel or not. Nia Jax has been a heel before. Ronda Rousey has never been a heel. But if it happens, the WWE is in serious trouble. And whether anybody likes it or not, if Paul Heyman is alongside with Ronda Rousey as the women's champion, Paul will not only be the greatest advocate in the history of the WWE and all of professional wrestling, he will simply be the greatest, period. No advocate, no manager better than Paul Heyman. Ronda Rousey wins, but got her ass kicked by Charlotte Flair, and no doubt we haven't seen the last of this. Which leads me to the last of this. I don't want to tell you about what I think about Bryan or Daniel Bryan and Brock Lesnar. I don't want to get into detail except the fact that I made the prediction. I said this already, where if Brock Lesnar beats Daniel Bryan, it won't be a shame. It won't. Y'all know what happened. It's pretty much like what happened last year. But did Daniel Bryan do a better performance than AJ Styles? Well, when you compare the two, I may have to look at this, because when you compare Lesnar versus AJ Styles from last year versus Brock Lesnar and Daniel Bryan, ooh, wow, that's pretty much an even playing field right there if I think about it. I was going to say AJ Styles did better, but then Daniel Bryan has this new heel turn and everything. Which, by the way, Daniel Bryan, a heel? Why? Daniel Bryan, WWE Champion. Why? I don't get it. I haven't figured it out yet. But nonetheless, Raw wins 6-1. Not 6-0, 6-1. Survivor Series was okay. It was all right. It wasn't the greatest of all time, but it was good. So all I can say is, if you ordered Survivor Series on pay-per-view, I feel sorry for you. If you saw it on the WWE Network, great. If you love Survivor Series, fuck yeah. If you didn't love it, fuck yeah. Either way possible, we all saw it, we all know what happened, and now it's over. It's done. It's out the fucking window, and we don't have to deal with it anymore. So now, all we have to look forward to is the future. November is almost over, and December's coming up. Thanksgiving is on its way, and all I'll be doing, because I'm gonna be working the next couple of days, but I'll be off on Thanksgiving Eve. I'll be off on Thanksgiving Day. I'll be off on Black Friday. By the way, Cannibal Corpse is coming over to Corpus Christi, by the way, just to let everybody know. Then I'm off for the weekend, then I go back on work on Monday. So, with that being said, this is pretty much the conclusion of the main event talk, and it's already almost an hour. Oh, wow, that's the longest I've been on the main event talk in a while. Usually I would take about 30 minutes when I'm doing the video and everything else like that, but gone live, holy shit. But nonetheless, NXT TakeOver was a fucking shit. Survivor Series was the shit, if you can call it that. And all I know is I know Raw is probably on right now, so I'll probably get an opportunity to see what goes on and see how all this stuff goes. So guys, get a chance to watch Raw, find out what's about to happen, what is Ronda Rousey's reaction, what will happen on Raw, and Braun Strowman, the lift's been banned, or ban's been lifted or whatever, so now he gets an opportunity to kick Baron Corbin's ass, and I want that to happen as soon as possible. So also, there's a couple of other things. Of course, TLC coming up in the next month. Dean Ambrose goes one-on-one against Seth Rollins for the Intercontinental Championship at TLC. We all are hoping that it is a TLC matchup, and no doubt it probably will. And also, let's see. Oh, and don't forget to check out, if you get an opportunity to go to the WWE Network, check out the Chronicles of Dean Ambrose. I haven't had a chance to look at it yet, but I'm going to get a chance to look at it right after the main event talk's over. And also, check out WWE 365 with AJ Styles. And I saw it right after Survivor Series was over. It was a tremendous documentary on AJ Styles' life and his life on the road. Him winning the WWE Championship, his matchup with Brock Lesnar at last year's Survivor Series, and then of course there was this. If you saw the 365 with AJ Styles, there was a sneak peek of Paul Heyman, who complimented AJ Styles for being the man who is better than Shawn Michaels, better than Bret Hart, and Kurt Hennig. He's this generation's, greatest superstar. And to me, AJ Styles is a great superstar. I still love him. AJ Styles to me. And the thing that sucked about Survivor Series was there was no AJ Styles. And I wanted AJ Styles. And I still love my man, AJ Styles. And one day he will be the WWE champion. And I'm going to make this prediction right here. When the Royal Rumble comes, you're going to see AJ Styles or Seth Rollins. One of those two are going to win the Royal Rumble and move on to WrestleMania. AJ representing SmackDown, Seth Rollins representing Raw. I predicted that Seth Rollins would be the one to win it and move on to get the Universal Championship. And if AJ wins, he'll go on to WrestleMania and take on Daniel Bryan. That's my prediction. That's my thought. That's how it's going to go. So, guys, I'm out of here. This live episode has gone beyond. It's already about an hour over. We're just a few minutes in. So, guys, I'm out of here. Thank you for watching this very special edition, this very live edition of the Main Event Talk as it's taking place. Don't forget to check out Raw. It's happening right now as we speak. Check out the WWE Network when you can. And if I don't get the opportunity, I'm going to say on behalf of the Main Event Talk, on behalf of everyone, I just want to wish you all happy holidays and happy Thanksgiving to all of you. And hope you guys have a great time with your family. Have a great time with all the friends and the family that you love and everything. I know that I'll probably be able to have a great Thanksgiving this year. I was going to try and, before I go ahead and go, I wanted to try and buy a turkey and everything else like that, and try to cook a turkey on my own, because I've been cooking a lot for the past several weeks, and I've always wanted to try and cook a turkey on my own, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes and everything. If I don't cook it, I'll try it next time. If not, that's okay. I'll do what I can. So, guys, thank you for watching this very special edition of the Main Event Talk. Don't forget to check out my Main Event Talk Facebook page at facebook.com/@RealMainEventTalk. You can also follow me on Facebook, my real Facebook, at facebook.com/@MainEventPlayer. Follow me on Instagram as well at instagram.com/@MainEventPlayer. You can also find me on Instagram, or follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/MainEventPlayer. This is it. This is over. I am done. Thank you for watching this great edition of the Main Event Talk, the most controversial talk in all of YouTube and all of, oh, crap! I forgot one thing. You know what? I'll save that for IGTV Main Event Talk. I got a 10-minute episode of the Main Event Talk that I do on IGTV on Instagram. You can check that out as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. I'm out of here, and I'll see you again next time, live and in living color. Why? Because I can, and I want to. Any questions? Enough said. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Take it easy.